Hey, y'all, my name is Bryant Young.
And Derek Chaney.
Here with the Decent Dads Podcast, brand new episode this week. You'll notice some things are a little different this time around. And we had our friend Layne Hunton on. Layne was a ton of fun to talk to.
Layne was a lot of fun. Layne and I have an interesting relationship. We talked about that a little bit. Very sarcastic, very funny guy, but got into some really good, deep topics. Yeah. And I think it was really enlightening for me.
It was. Yeah, it was insightful. It was funny. And truly, when I put these two in the room together, I was a little worried about the product.
I'm surprised we even got an episode together.
But I can tell you now that we've had the value of putting this thing on tape, I'm really excited for people to see it. So I think we jump right into this thing.
That sounds great.
All right. Well, without further ado, Decent Dads Podcast, here we go. Welcome back to the Decent Dads Podcast. We're here to tell dad jokes, drink coffee, and build a community of dads navigating fatherhood together. I'm Bryant Young, fearless leader, co-host, girl dad, and your friendly local insurance agent based out of Springfield, Missouri. And now, before we get started on today's episode, please help me welcome the coolest guest co-host with the most, a fantastic father of three, and the best estate planner in the manor. Folks, put your hands together for the second time, the incomparable Mr. Andy Peebles. How are you, Peebles?
Thank you so much. It is great to be here. I feel like I need to say it's a good day for a good day.
It's
guys.
A good day.
We've got our hoppy coffee here.
We do have our hoppy coffee.
We're going to have a great show. Cheers to you.
Cheers to you. Yeah. Actually, these hoppy coffees are brought to you by our friends at Buff Studio, the official coffee sponsor of the Decent Dads Podcast. Buff Studio is a full-service architecture, engineering, and design firm with offices in Bentonville, Arkansas, and Springfield, Missouri. Learn more at buffstudio.co. Thanks, Buff Studio, for your support of the podcast and Decent Dads everywhere. Buff Studio, be a buffalo. We just did a whole introduction. Yeah, we got it. All right, good. So, Andy, actually, if you want to play like Derek for a minute here and talk about our guest.
I think we've got a great guest today, Layne Hunton. We're excited to have you here. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Some of us may not know you that are listening today. Tell us who you are, what you do. Tell us about your family, how many kids you have, who's your favorite, things like that.
I appreciate that, Derek. And if you could go on a little bit more about how awesome I am, I do appreciate it. I'm Layne Hunton. That's the most important part of me is that I have a wife of, I think, 13 years, if I didn't get that right.
Really 13? I didn't realize it was that long.
Okay, awesome. Now I'm going to have to remember. Yeah, it's something like 13.
Good for you, dude.
She's going to check you on that.
She is, and she was super excited to watch this afterward. I'm not going to, but she is. And then two kids, Kinsley, she's 8, and Beckham is 6.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good for you, man. Well,
the best part of life.
Well, I was really excited for this one in particular, and we're going to kind of go off script a little bit here because I do also feel like we should introduce Andy again. It's been 60-something episodes, 50-something episodes. I swear to God, we're on like 64 or something.
Good on you.
So I think we should also introduce Andy. Some of you may know him. Most of you probably don't. If you would, tell us who you are, what you do. Tell us about your family. Tell us about your kids. You're about to a basketball team now. Tell me which one's your favorite.
We're getting close. Andy Peebles, estate planning attorney with Carnahan Evans here in Springfield, Missouri. Been doing that 9 years now, which has just flown by. Married to my wife, Courtney, for 5 years. Mm-hmm. We've got 3 kiddos at home.
They wasted no time.
Almost, yeah. 5 years, 3 kids. Do the math. In 10 years, we're going to have 6. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. 4-year-old, almost 2.5-year-old, and then a 2.5-month-old.
Yeah.
Eliza, George, and Rosie in that order, and we're having a great time with it.
Yeah.
Really bored most of the time. Not a whole lot going on at home.
Yeah, really quiet around the house.
It is very
Lots
quiet.
of sleep happening. Yeah, I love that. Well, this is going to be fun because I've known Andy for the better part of 30 years, and I've been friends with Layne for a couple of years now, and it's
at
been
least
fun.
the better part of 3.
Yeah, 3 at least. So I'm excited to have you boys here, and also it's a nice little change of pace. Derek is off actually tending to his couple-day-old child. Depending on when this gets released, it'll be within the last couple of weeks. But we figured we'd actually give him a little bit of time off to spend some time with his new family. So, or the new member of his family, I should say. So, we've all got little kids, and I feel like whether your kids are 2.5 months old or 12 years old or 22 years old, they're still having tantrums. And so I want to know what stands out. I'm excited to hear this from you because yours has probably obviously changed since the last time we spoke. And
Maybe.
I want to hear you. Well, maybe, yeah, might be the same stuff. Tell me about what kind of tantrum you've been dealing with lately, or what's a favorite one story of yours?
Oh, favorite. I don't think
know if
there's
you
any.
got
I
a
don't think
favorite
there's a
tantrum.
favorite
Yeah,
tantrum.
That might be oxymoronic. Never mind.
Yeah, none of them, Bob.
Yeah, none of the above.
No, I think the most recent tantrum is all I have in my memory. It's like RAM on a computer; it immediately goes out as soon as
There's only
the
so
next,
much room
yeah,
on the disk.
one at a
Sure.
time. No, Kinsley, she's 8 now, so we're starting to get into this. I don't know. It's a different stage in life, and it's she gets mad, she gets frustrated, she then rolls the eyes, goes, and then walks off, and honestly, like that hurts.
Sure.
Like the turn around and walk off and not look at what I'm reacting hurts so much more. And they will never understand for another like 30 years. But
Yeah, it's until her kids do that to her.
yeah,
Like,
oh my gosh. But I can't crumble at all. I got to be there. Like, it's fine. Things are okay.
That's the quietest tantrum I've ever heard.
Oh, it's awful.
But
It's devastating.
But
But
it's
it's
the
devastating.
anti-tantrum.
It's now mental. It's not physical or emotional. It's a mental thing.
when you've hit that point in life, right, where your kids are a little bit older, and so it's not so much the like little kid making a really loud amount of noise in public. It's I'm gonna roll my eyes at you, and that's enough to just put that dagger in. That's
yeah,
tough.
yeah, and it is. But I mean, that's part of being a parent is being the bigger person and making sure that you're not letting it get to you externally, and just kind of being a dad.
Oh, dude, that's I going off script here. That is a huge struggle for me personally because my kid we're in the throes of Elsie just like whoever said that terrible twos were bad was a stone-faced liar.
Totally, the
Like
threes.
threes are so much worse than
Yeah.
twos. It's not even.
I
funny.
could not agree with you more.
Like-
Twos were not that bad for us. We were lucky, maybe. I
Yeah.
don't know, but this has been, this last year has been rough.
It's and we're just getting into it. You're getting out of it, and so it's.
I think it gets
no,
worse.
He's staying
It's
in
getting
it.
worse. It's gonna ramp into it. Sure, you've got a couple more kids.
I'm waiting
to go.
on the mental just trauma that Layne just described.
See, your
Yeah,
your entire Amish family, you're just going to have it wash over you so completely that
Yeah.
you're just going to be like dead.
Yeah, we've hit like the full blown like three-nager because we've literally been calling her a three-nager around the house. Like it's exponentially harder. She will look me dead in the face now, and instead of just screaming and crying and beating her feet on the floor, she will yell a perfectly formed, perfectly hurtful statement in my face, just like crazy-eyed, wide-eyed, wide-mouthed, just yelling at me. Because I didn't do what she wanted me to do, or I tried to put water on her hair during bath time, which she was not expecting. Like, it went from nonsensical screaming to like, I know she's not meaning to be hurtful, but like, oh my God, is it hurtful?
How often do you just crawl up in a ball and cry afterwards?
I got to be honest with you. There have been a couple of instances where I've looked at my wife and I've said, I'm going to need to leave the room now.
Yeah.
Because I'm either going to start crying or start screaming like a 3-year-old back at my 3-year-old.
I get that.
It's a struggle constantly for me.
At the same time, you have to realize and understand where they're coming from too. Like, you remember being a kid and being controlled by someone else, not being able to do anything on your own. And then also not having a fully formed vocabulary or brain to really get out your feelings and thoughts, and you're just trapped inside.
It's hard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sucks.
What about you? What kind of, did you bring any particular story or anything?
Well,
that you
like
wanna
I
talk
said
about with
beforehand,
tantrums?
our kids don't have tantrums, so I'm sorry I can't contribute to the conversation.
I
No,
don't believe you.
It actually took me a while to figure out which tantrum I wanted to describe.
Yeah, which one you
because
wanna talk
it
about.
happens quite often.
Sure.
So yeah, we've got Eliza is our oldest. She'll be 4 next month.
Okay. Yeah.
Almost a
I
4-year-old.
was going to say.
So about a month ago, my wife was describing a day that she had that she reprimanded Eliza because she was doing something wrong, which she does
Naturally,
occasionally
yeah.
as a 3-year-old. Eliza didn't didn't like the feedback, I guess, didn't appreciate Courtney's feedback, and decided instead of just, okay, Mom, you're right, that's a great idea, to throw the pretty solid block that she was holding at the time. And the trajectory of that block could not have been worse because it went directly into our flat screen TV.
Nice.
Didn't go into it, but it hit it pretty hard.
Damage?
Well, we didn't know at the time. So my wife, takes her away. You're in timeout. That's it. We didn't think much about it. 2 days later, I get to come home for lunch. I don't get a free lunch very often. It's very rare. I usually have a meeting, or if I do come home, the kids are there, Courtney's there, and I'm there to help with the kids. And that's great, but it's not a relaxing lunch. I finally had one of those rare days where I came home, no one was home, they were off doing something else, and I was like, you know what? This is going to be a great hour lunch. I'm going to watch TV. I'm going to catch one of those movies I couldn't watch. Turn on that TV.
Sports Center.
As I turn it on, the middle third of the TV is black and spider-webbed because of our toddler. So
it's like she knew.
She knew exactly what was going to happen. So I was not very pleased. Called Courtney. Was like, what happened to the TV? And she's like, oh.
I've been meaning to tell you.
So it's very difficult to watch baseball. For example, it's baseball season because both the pitcher and the batter are they're gone. They're not in the screen. So I don't know what's going on.
You got outfield though. That's where the real.
We have
is.
the grass of the outfield.
Perfect.
We don't have the outfielder
because it's almost like they center the camera on the guy catching the ball.
So nice, expensive tantrum there.
When you turned that on, did you, in a very Michael Scott voice, say it was a plasma?
Something to that effect.
Cool.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So Courtney has said, though, just kind of going off that, she's like, I think we need to keep the TV and we need to punish Eliza. So when she turns it on to watch her kids' show, which she doesn't watch very often, then she'll know and she'll be reminded of what she did. Eliza doesn't watch hardly any TV. I watch a lot of TV. Okay, I am being punished unfairly, and this has gone on for like 2 weeks, and I'm like, Courtney, please stop punishing me. This is not fun anymore. And she's like, no, I think she's learning a lesson. No, she's not. Dad is learning a lesson to never have a TV in the house.
That's where garage TV comes in.
Yeah,
dude.
So that was our.
Do you have a garage TV set up?
Not anymore.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
I wish.
Yeah, I get it.
Kind of sounds nice, except it's hot.
Yeah, that also makes sense in this neck of the woods. Okay, so I'm going to ask more about that later if we have time. Tell me about dad hacks.
Dad hack alert!
Dad advice. It's been my favorite thing, and I'm going off script here because I don't know the script because this is normally what Derek talks about. But one of my favorite things that I've taken away from this podcast are all the different guests' bits of wisdom that they bring in. I have 5 or 6 things that I do on a daily basis that have come exclusively from dad hacks from this podcast.
That's cool.
And so like this has literally made me a better dad. And I
just so you had an outlet to talk because you talk all the time and just hear your own voice, and it actually made you a better person.
Listen to me. I'm a good listener.
That's really nice.
Way to go.
This has been good.
I bet those elementary school teachers are finally like, thank God he's listening.
Thank God.
Okay, so Layne, what did you bring anything profound that you want to talk about?
Not profound. I brought things.
Good.
I was told to bring things, and I brought things.
And I did what I was told.
No, I understand what you're saying with you're getting all this great advice. Really, that's all you're doing this podcast for, is just to make sure that you absorb everyone else's advice.
Man,
it's fair.
But
none of the ideas that I have are original. It's all stolen from other guys.
I talk with you at least once a month, and the conversation comes up. So-and-so gave me this really good bit of advice, and I know it comes from this podcast every single time.
100%.
Okay, so dad hack. Good segue. Dad hack. This is really just, I guess, a part of me, who I am, but I've found that it has helped immensely in calming the kids back down. But I mean, so when they get upset, when we get upset with them, it's really trying to dial it back and calmness. And then something I'll say my mother did with me that I try to be quick with our kids is quick to apologize, and my wife catches me on this very often. But hey, you kind of got a little too much. You got a little out of line. It was just as much you as it was them. I think you need to go apologize. And I'm like, no, I don't need to apologize. I didn't do anything wrong. And then I think back and I think, okay, stop. I need to be the bigger person. she's a child, he's a child. Hey guys, I'm sorry for that earlier. Let's talk about this, and just like bring it back to an honest conversation of hey, I'm not perfect.
Yeah,
that is great. I've done that a couple times where I know I've kind of gone off more than I should have, and when you actually apologize to them, especially as they get older, they're taken aback. They're just like, whoa. It's like Dad's apologizing to me.
The guy who knows everything is,
and they give you that hug, and it's like, okay, like that's pretty cool. And I think they learn from that because they learn humility
Absolutely.
from that, and that even Dad can be wrong.
You're teaching them very good life skills in that same way that you're learning them here at 35 myself. Like I'm learning them, and I'm trying to instill those values in them that I might not have or still struggle with. But yeah,
that's good.
The more emotional intelligence they have, the better.
100%. I mean, that's tied to, I would assume directly tied to how successful you can be just in life.
Yeah.
It's your ability to have some emotional intelligence.
Could you teach our politicians that lesson as well?
Please.
Is that where this podcast is going? Are we talking politics now?
Hold on. Let's really get this dialed in. Please, God, no.
No, but I'm just saying, like that. That's always an important lesson, but it's even more important now because you look at the state of politics and just really the workforce or whatever it is, and it's seen as a weakness to apologize or to say, look, I was wrong about that. You were right on this. To compromise is a weakness, and that's not. I mean, it's the opposite.
Well,
and if you're teaching your kids early about that,
well, it's like I've listened to what you said, and I know what I thought, and well, all right, I stand corrected.
Right.
You were right. I was wrong.
It's okay to come back from your position.
That's a hard one. Is admitting when your children, 6, 8, 5, whatever. You guys were right. Dad was being a jerk, and he is absolutely wrong. He got way too emotional, and as much as you think like we grow as people, like we're still those stupid high schoolers.
Yeah,
preach.
I saw the text messages between the three of us before all this.
Those are not going to be
children.
published.
Yeah, no, they won't be.
That's the screenshot for the intro.
Yeah, it's well, we're all children, right? But it's just we got bigger and hairier. What about you, AP? Anything specific that you brought?
I don't have. I still don't have this figured out. I don't have the dad thing figured out. So I was thinking about dad hacks. I was like, I don't have a good dad hack. I'm just trying to keep my kids alive. I'm just trying to keep them alive, make them good people. But one piece of advice I give to a lot of like new dads. I mean, you guys aren't new dads, but any new dads out there is take the trip. Right? Take the trip, do the things that you enjoyed doing even before you had kids. Do those with your kids, right? Don't sit at home and say, well, this is too hard. We're just going to wait 12 years until they can take care of themselves, and then we're going to start doing vacations again, then we're going to go out to dinner again. Just do it. Just keep doing it. I mean, it sucks. Yeah. It's hard. It takes an hour longer to get out the door to do those things. It takes a lot more planning, but you're going to be building those memories. The kids are going to start enjoying the things that you enjoy. I mean, for our example, we just had our third kid. She's 2.5 months. 2 weeks in, 2 weeks out, she's fresh. We went to a bluegrass festival in Bentonville, Arkansas. We had tickets. We're like, look, let's just take all 3 kids. And it was chaos for about 40% of the festival. Sure. It was family friendly though, but the other 60% was incredible. It was so much fun. The kids were dancing, having a good time. They listened to great music. A couple weeks ago, we were in D.C. We took our baby. It was our first flight. She's not even 3 months old. We took her on 2 flights already.
Elsie is 3 years old, still hasn't been on a plane.
and it's hard. But like our thought is, well, I don't want to go on a plane. I don't want to go to a restaurant because I'm going to annoy that family. They're going to scream. What if they're screaming on the plane? That's who the hell cares, right? Most of those people on the plane have kids, have had kids, or are just genuinely nice people, and they have headphones and can put them in their ears.
Exactly.
Who cares?
When I've traveled like that, I don't feel annoyed that there's a baby crying. I feel so like, I feel so bad for those parents right now. That's the only place I'm at.
I mean, if you find someone who's angry that there's a child screaming, they have some issues to figure out. That's on them.
They need to talk to a therapist.
That's on them.
Yeah.
But we've never sat next to somebody or anywhere around us in a plane when our kids were kind of acting up a little bit who wasn't like, oh, let me help play with them, let me entertain them. encouraging us. It's okay.
Those are just good, normal humans.
Take
that's
the trip.
why.
Yeah,
exactly.
Do the things you want to do. That's the thing.
I'm so glad you said that because I literally have a note written in my phone that says, if Andy doesn't say, bring your kids to places and do things, I was going to make you talk about it. So I'm glad you talked about that.
Yeah.
Because frankly, it's one of those things that I appreciate most about the way you parent. You and I are pretty good friends. I've followed you around for literally the better part of 3 decades. And
Can't get rid of it.
I know. And seeing the way you and Courtney incorporate those kids into your day-to-day life, whether it's the cool shit, like going to bluegrass festivals, or it's the mundane, we're just going to gymnastics practice or something.
Right.
Like a lot of the time, it's the whole crew, and we're just going to go do this thing as a family, and I love that about the way you guys parent. I think that's so cool. So mine is a little less profound. So thank you for sharing that. I wanted to talk a little bit about the results of an experiment, not experiment, because it sounds like I've been experimenting on my kid.
Have you?
No, not really, but kind of. I am very much not the preferred parent in our pairing. Liv has always been the preferred parent.
You're not the preferred friend.
You're saying this like it's some kind of surprise to us.
It's almost like the loud obnoxious guy is loud and obnoxious and nobody wants to be around him.
No, we love you.
But else, for whatever reason, the mom is comfort. Mom is
that's how it is.
Is like is fine. That's fine. However, I've been trying to build that up a little bit with her, build up that relationship with my daughter, make a concerted effort, and in mostly doing that by spending one-on-one time with her. Peeling her away from mom. It's like, hey, we're just going to go have breakfast. She and I have gone and had, it's gross, but the Waffle House.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
You are a good dad
I
for
love
introducing her to dad.
I love the Waffle
Don't
House.
let
man.
anyone
Like,
tell you otherwise.
Elsie and I will sit there and split an All-Star, and she'll have the eggs and the bacon and
cigarette.
And the pancake.
And the cigarette outside.
You're exposing her early to everything.
Listen, she's going to be a well-rounded kid, okay? But there have been several instances, even just in the last couple of weeks, because I've made this concerted effort to spend that one-on-one time with her, where all of a sudden she does want to come crawl up on the couch and snuggle with dad. Or in the middle of the night last night when she was screaming in terror because she had a nightmare or something, she didn't yell for mom, she yelled for dad.
That's
and
cool.
That doesn't happen in this household. And so just because it's not working right now doesn't mean your kid hates you.
Well, and
it's
she's 3 or 4, right?
3, yeah.
Okay, yeah. That's
normal.
That's normal.
Exactly.
It's very mom-centric for the first several years. And you feel like, okay, when am I going to get my chance?
Sure.
And you're right in the thick of now's your chance. It starts becoming really fun and, really interactive with them.
Well, I'm just trying to make a concerted effort to be around her, be involved with her so that she does actually want to hang out and spend time with me just because I want that relationship.
Short window.
Short window.
Now until like 12.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe less.
What was it? We had Ben Garwitz on at one point, and Ben Garwitz's dad pulled me aside one time, and he's like, all right, you're getting ready to have a kid. Build as great a relationship as you can with that kid for the first 13 years, because the next 13 years are going to suck.
Yeah, that's all the advice I've gotten as well.
13 to like early 20s,
yep.
They're either going to think you're stupid or roll their eyes at you, or all of these things are just not going to agree with you because they're learning how to be an adult. And then once they hit their mid-20s, they're finally going to come around and go, oh,
you knew what you were talking about.
Yeah. They actually were giving
just
good advice.
Like all of us.
Exactly.
I mean, we all did the exact same thing.
Oh, to be clear, I'm the exact same way.
Yeah.
But I liked that coming from Gary, too. It's like, it's going to suck, but also it'll get better. But also it's going to suck in the middle. So it is what it is.
It is tough to not take those things personally, though. You know, when your kid is like, let me read you a book. I haven't seen you all day. It's like, I don't want you to read that book. I want the other parent to read the book. And it's like, okay, well, I'll just go sit in the corner then and just cry.
This.
Yeah. I mean, it is hard, but they're kids. Like they go back and forth between who's the favorite at the time.
Well, and this will come as a huge surprise to both of you, but I have a little bit of an ego, and so I take things personally, whether I should or shouldn't. Whether I should or shouldn't.
Been hidden all these years.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about. So, Layne, tell me about. You mentioned you're an architect, And
I didn't actually. You mentioned that. I didn't.
Did I? Okay,
Yeah.
good. Well, at least I
You
told
are
the world
an
what you do.
architect.
You are an architect. I'm telling you what you do.
Thank you.
It's kind of a mix of creative and math and kind of business all kind of rolled into one. Has any of that translated to the way you are with your kids, or the way you try to teach your kids, or the way you try to frame the world, around your kids, or frame it for them? Because I'm fascinated by creative people, because I'm very much not, and so I'm always interested to see.
Everyone's creative. Like. Look at all this. Now everyone else can't see how like this just stops at the floor, and then the rest of this room has like not this vibe at all. But this is creative.
It's almost like
you're
it's
not
designed that
creative.
way.
Yeah, right. No, I mean I think there's some aspect to it that's helpful, but don't put me in with the good math people. I'm not good at math.
Fair enough. Okay.
I draw my math half the time.
That makes sense.
And that's weird and it's hard to explain. But yeah,
math is different nowadays, so you don't even know what the right math is.
I don't.
That's right.
I don't try. Thankfully, my wife's a teacher and she does understand new math.
That's
and
good.
I don't pretend.
That's
to.
why we lean on our spouses.
Actually, do
Absolutely.
you think we can set up a dad class with your wife for her to teach us new math so that we can then teach it to our children? Because I think that might be necessary.
I think that's going to be the next tantrum. Is just me throwing a tantrum over my child's math homework. Why did they change math? And that's the next. So can we do this in like 15, 10 years or so?
It's just called Old Man Andy yelling at a screen.
Andy yells at a screen.
For a half hour.
Okay,
no,
boomer.
I would not do that to her. That sounds
Okay, boomer.
awful. She would never do that.
Yeah, that's probably fair.
The question was
Creative and kids. And,
no, I mean I don't know that there's too much crossover any more than a normal dad would be. I will say though that especially like on the trip that we took this year, I'm trying to expose them to like culture, arts.
Sure.
So like we're going to art museums around the country. We're going to famous architecture and walking through that and doing tours, no matter how god awful expensive they are to walk through a building for like 20 minutes. But it's those experiences, and it was something that I grew up with too. But you only have such a small period of time with them. You're trying to like figure out how to cram so
it all
much
in.
good culture and experience
yeah.
and expose them to the world before they're going to go off and do it themselves. And so I mean, more so it's that, I guess.
That makes sense. Okay, well, I was thinking about that honestly. I was on my car ride back to the house after work today. I was like, I want to talk to Layne about that.
So it's more you understand. You're wanting to culture your children,
which I love.
In the best way possible. Children don't care though.
Yeah,
so
sure.
it's more of like in 15 years, 20 years, they're going to look back and be like, oh, yeah, I did see however many different Vincent van Gogh paintings or Picasso paintings or like all of the, I've been to every Smithsonian museum, like all those things, like they care right now, but only for about an hour.
Sure.
And then the rest of it, they're like,
Where's the
can we
snack bar?
go yet? Yeah, we already saw the lunar capsule once in the other place. Yo, these are more moon rocks. Cool, whatever.
Yeah,
and it's
right.
like, ugh, if only you understood.
Just how cool this really is.
Yeah. And then they will think it's cool, and
Sure.
then they will tell people over time, and the other people will make it known that, oh no, this isn't a normal experience.
You got to do that?
Right.
Oh, that's so cool.
And they
Yeah.
will regret not enjoying it now.
Yeah.
I mean, we just kind of a spinoff. We just got back from D.C., right?
Yeah.
We took an 8th grade
Exactly.
trip.
Yes, we
Brian and
did.
I were in middle school together.
That's right.
And we took an 8th grade trip to D.C.
In a bus.
We in 3 buses
It was
with a bunch
nightmare.
of 13-year-old kids.
It was a nightmare.
going through
Could you
puberty.
imagine chaperoning that at this point
Oh
in
my
life?
God, it'd be
Nope.
a nightmare. It would be awful. But my point is, at that time, I did not appreciate that enough.
100%.
And they
100%.
tried to like, hey, this is the founding documents. This is literally the Declaration. This is the Capitol. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Didn't care. I was just trying to figure out how to talk to a girl. I'm still trying to figure that out
Literally,
now.
Andy.
Still trying to figure that out.
In the back of my head, I was trying to think about like what my 13-year-old self took away from that, and it was my sweet over-the-ear headphones, so I could blast Linkin Park,
Right.
and try to talk to a girl.
Yeah.
you
was it.
absolutely hit the nail on the head.
It's right. And then 2 weeks ago
Why
we
is that
went
my takeaway?
and it
Dang
was
it.
incredible. It was like
Right.
I was just geeking out. You know, I'm an attorney, so I was like, let's go to the Supreme Court. and let's
Yeah.
go look at the Supreme Court. Oh, these were the old Supreme Court chambers in the 1820s. Wow.
Right.
And
Yeah.
like, I really appreciate it. And your kids are they're gonna know they were there, and they're gonna appreciate what you did for them. But then they're gonna want to go back because they're like, wow, I did
I
this.
hope so.
Now
I mean,
go
that's
back.
that's the dream. I hope
the dream,
I
right?
hope
Yeah.
they do.
That's cool. That's really cool.
That would be neat. Well, and so what else do you want to, because one of the things that you said in your questionnaire was things you've been able to introduce, explain, and teach the kids. Do you have some specific examples of things that you know, like you're talking about sharing experiences, which I love. Frankly, it's trips over things, right? Experiences over things.
yeah.
Like I love that thought process.
Yeah.
And it's easy to say, right?
Sure.
I mean, like I'm saying, like we went on a vacation. We went on a vacation this year, and
I
it's
get
like
it. I get it.
yeah, it was a hurrah. It was all one big thing, and you know.
Because you were gone for a couple of weeks.
We're gone for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And by about week 2, they were done with it. And we still had
better than I would've
We
got.
still
That's
had
pretty
another
good.
45 hours in the car and another 2,000 miles to drive.
Where did you drive?
Yes.
to Russia.
My God.
We drove up to Washington, D.C., and then we kept going up to Maine. And then we came back through New York, through Canada, into Michigan. My wife had a family reunion at the end of it. And then we came back home.
This wasn't a nightmare you had. This was something you did.
No,
By choice.
Here's
Oh
another
my
piece of
God.
advice that I can actually give that I feel confident about. But it's if that's your goal, if that's something you want to do, just do it from the get go. Like we've been doing road trips since Kinsley was 6 months old.
Cool.
That was the first one. We went to Colorado. We drove through. We cut it short because it was awful, but we did it. And we've been on planes with the kids, and like the kids are used to, after 6 and 8 years of sitting in a car for between
Extended periods of
6 and 12 hours.
Yeah.
And there's not a whole lot of tablet time because it's just like it's too much.
That I mean, at the beginning, that's what I said was take the trip. That's taking it to another level.
Yeah, that's
It's
awesome.
taking the trip literally 48 hours of driving. We've gone to Colorado.
cut it
We've
up.
taken, yeah, but that's rough.
That's
Like,
a
you're-
lot of car time, dude. For
I
little
agree, I
kids.
agree with it in principle. And now I feel like I said it wrong, and I don't agree with what I said because that's scary.
But it's
Yeah.
it's
There's a line. You're past it.
It's, it was
Too much.
It was 90 hours, but it was over 3
holy-
weeks.
okay.
It was over 3
But
weeks.
still.
Okay. Hey,
Wow.
It's
Good on you.
I promise
Yeah.
it's doable.
Kudos. 'Cause
I'm not,
seriously.
I'm not going to give you a high five for that.
I'm gonna get a
I
high
can't
five
believe
from
you
you
did.
by the time I leave this house.
It's gonna happen.
I'm gonna get
it's
one.
gonna happen.
I'm gonna get a hug too.
Yeah, exactly. That's off camera though. So what else are you what else are you trying to introduce to them or teach them? Like what are some of the things or what are some of the ways you're excited about doing it?
The exciting things are obviously the things that I love and enjoy.
Sure.
And here's another thing. It's so I have one kid who I feel like everything this child likes is the same stuff I like, and it's super easy to be like, I'm looking at a map because I really like maps. Why? I don't know. It's weird. I'm looking at
But
a
I
map.
like them, and so leave me alone.
And just over my shoulder comes this head like, you looking at a map? Yeah, I'm looking at a map. Can I look? What's that? What's that? What's that? Can you zoom in over there? What about that? And it's like, I love that because like we're able to connect. The other child isn't the spitting image, and it's like it takes me more effort, but I've come to realize that it takes me more effort, and I have to put more effort into figuring out where our commonalities are, so that I'm not picking a favorite. You know, how many people do you know in your life? I was an only child, so like I don't know this, but how many people do you know? And you know, your parents probably liked your brother more than you,
Yeah,
obviously.
he's a doctor and I'm not. No, we got it.
Yeah, he's nice, but.
Better looking.
No, he's not. We look
More
exactly
fun at
the same.
parties. Not as loud.
That's
Do we need to keep going? I'm sorry.
But how often is it that like, you know, parents pick a favorite? And growing up, I'm like, why would parents ever pick a favorite? That's crazy. How could you do that? And it's like, oh, I get it, because like you connect with one much easier than the other, so you don't put in the extra effort to build that relationship with the other. And I'm starting to realize that, and hopefully I'm not too late on that.
Yeah, you
but
caught
it's me just like self-reflecting, being like, oh, am I a shitty parent? Oh no. Okay, I gotta make sure I put in extra effort to this relationship so that it's something really valuable in the future.
Yeah.
And that's tough, but it has to be done.
Yeah.
And I would regret it if I was ever seen as like picking a favorite.
Yeah. Oh, that's solid.
scary.
And also terrifying.
It is. I mean, but you're always going. You're right. You're always going to have commonalities with one child probably over the other. I mean, they're going to be just like you.
Sure.
But yeah, you're right. You've got to be intentional about not making that. I'm only going to hang out with this kid.
Sure.
And it's like,
Yeah.
well, we don't have much in common. Go hang out with mom.
Well, but I also think you can find those common grounds, which is what you just hit on.
You can.
Right? Like,
You have to.
You have
Yeah.
to find those common grounds and lean into them. Again, talking about making a concerted effort to do things with your kids, you got to seek those things out and actively build that relationship.
Otherwise, I mean, I would go out on a limb and say that's a bad dad if you don't do that, just straight up, because
Sure.
that's just it's just not being a good parent.
Yeah, I'm into that.
That's solid.
What about are there things that you're trying to specifically get them to avoid, or ways in which you're trying to help them avoid things?
Everything I've done in my life, that's what I'm trying to get them to avoid.
Don't be your old man.
Don't be dad.
No, but I mean, at the same time, maybe it's me. I think it's most people. You fall into the same pitfalls your parents fell into, and they tell you and they give you all the advice. Oh, do this, don't do that. Yeah. I had a problem with X, or don't do Y, and you're like, yeah, I get it, and then you do the same thing, like, because the best way to learn is through experience. But like, I'm trying to help you guys out. Like, what do you want to do in life? What are you really excited about? How can I help you get to that point in a career so that we're hanging out for the next 18 years or so together. But then after that, I'm going to know you as an adult for the next, 40, 50, 60 years, whatever. I want you to be successful for the majority of your life.
Yeah.
And to do that, I really, I want to help you out as much as possible, but you got to, yeah. So if they're anything like me, they're going to regret lots of things and make tons of mistakes. Yeah. I would love to help them out. Not to, but I don't know that that's in the cards. I don't know if it is ever.
And it's not how you learn, right?
It's not.
Yeah, right. Like that's exactly what I was going to say.
I mean, that's right. It's you can teach them all. It's like, this is why I'm telling you this, is because I did the same thing, and this is how it turned out for me, and it wasn't good. All right, so don't do that. And they're going to say, all right, that's fine, thanks but I'm going to do it anyway. Yeah. And then they're going to. So we can talk all we want, and some of those may stick. I think a lot of them will, but there's some of those that it's like, you're my dad, and I don't really care, and you're 2 generations ahead of me. I don't really. I'm gonna figure it out myself.
You're dumb, old man. You know what you're talking about.
And then they go through it, and they go, "Whoops."
Now I haven't.
He was right.
I haven't gotten to that point yet, but I have to imagine a good starting place is just to be just available and ready to say, "It's okay, I gotcha." Like. Something me and my wife have always talked about is, well, if the kids, once they do want to move out, that's fine. You always have a bedroom here. You will always have a bedroom in our house. If you want to stay until you're 28, 30, that's fine. You do you, and there'll be a bedroom here.
You're going to need a bigger house.
There's a bedroom. There's a bedroom for all the kids now. There'll be a bedroom for them in the future. But, no one's getting kicked out. And so, you're always welcome here. You're always going to be our children. The same way my parents, if I fell on hard times, I got a bedroom there. And, how valuable is that to have that family to rely on? And so I want to make sure that, they're never turned away. They always know, no matter what mistakes, there might be tough love or something, but yeah.
Well, and so Andy and I have talked about this. It's along the same lines. Andy and I are both people who work for their parents, or now are partners with their parents in a business. But Andy and I have talked about this several times, that we got the I Work for My Daddy award from Rotaract several years. And the Nepo baby thing, the fact that I have a job because I went to work in my family business, is not lost on me. However, if I wouldn't be as willing to take risks and really bet on myself to be successful if I didn't have the familial safety net.
Yeah.
And what you're setting up for your kids is exactly that.
Well, and
you're setting up that safety net for them to feel comfortable in their own skin, blazing their own path, trying to bet on themselves and be successful, understanding that, God forbid, something happens, I've got my family.
And that's what I was afforded.
Yeah.
That's what I was afforded. That's
what I
what my
was.
wife was
Sure.
afforded. It would be incredibly selfish to not provide that same offer for the future. So I mean, yeah, I'd be very selfish and regretful if I did so. So it's kind of, I don't know. It's almost like a familial contract that, oh, this was done for me. I feel the obligation to do it in the future.
Sure.
And so maybe that's also a suggestion for everyone who's listening, or in the future, just think about what kind of things can I set up if I'm thinking about not just me, not just my kids, but like my family line.
Sure.
However many down, how can I make sure I set up life to be good? If I suffer a little bit, if I do the hard thing now, am I going to be able to help 5 generations from now? That would be sweet. If if I could come back and see that happen, I'd be so proud.
Yeah. Legacy.
That's
Legacy. Yeah.
Legacy planning. I don't know anything about
You know
that.
anything about estate planning, Andy?
Carnahan Evans.
Great commercial.
Was that not supposed to advertise there? Carnahan Evans.
Hey, you're Derek
estate
Chaney. You can do
planning
whatever
and
you wanna do.
trust.
What are you doing with your family? You're talking about legacy, talking about continuing into the future. Are you setting traditions up with your family? Are there things that you're working on to?
It's almost like you read the prompt.
It's almost like I know how to tee you up for stories that I want to hear from you.
Okay, so the traditions thing that I wrote down.
I want to hear about it.
I'm not going to take credit for this at all. Again, my wife is going to be listening, and she'd stab me in my sleep if I took credit for all this. No,
To be clear, the best dad hack in the world is have a good mom in your life.
Oh, I thought it was going to be not getting stabbed in your sleep.
I thought you were
was
going
wondering
that
where
way
the
too.
segue was going.
I thought you were going to say like wear a bulletproof vest or something like that.
No, it's have a good wife because holy shit, do they?
That's
carry a
much
lot of
nicer.
water.
That's much.
Yeah.
That's good.
So
Sorry, don't get stabbed in your sleep. Please
no,
continue.
Also
good
good-
advice.
also
Good
good
advice. Yeah. So don't cross her. No, what the tradition point that I was making was, and I don't think I valued this nearly enough until more recently, and I'm starting to recognize it. Especially our kids are halfway to moving out, more or less, and it's like, oh shoot, did we do all the parent things we're supposed to do?
Yeah.
Like Christmas and Thanksgiving and Halloween, and like my wife has been, oh my gosh, she is awesome at doing all of these things. Like, Christmas, you've seen the lights.
Oh yeah, dude.
Everyone.
You make us all look like bad.
how many?
dads.
don't.
How many Christmas trees do you have?
I have 0.
Okay, how many?
How many
does
does
your
your
wife
household have?
Spencer has 7, 8, and they're all. There's one up right now.
What?
She has a room in the basement that is all pink.
The July tree.
No, it's an all year round tree. We just took down lights in like May because Marcus per year was giving me a hard time for it, and I finally took him down, took a picture, and sent it to him. But
Good.
the
Dad shame is
tradition,
also real.
try and be on track.
No.
Traditions. She sets up awesome traditions, man. Like Christmas. It's always the same stuff, and you think like normal people do traditions, not like this. Like she goes all out for everything. I can't tell you how much money we spend on making sure that it's a magical experience.
Yeah.
And that's not buying things. That's all the other stuff that goes along with it. And that
Sure.
goes for like Halloween. I mean, that goes for 4th of July. That goes for every single holiday. She's all about how do we make sure that, their childhood, the experiences they have are just like the best thing, because she knows that this is a finite amount of time that we have to spend with them. And I'm over here just like, why do we have to do this? I'm a complainy person.
Bah humbug.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's more of like a going back and reflecting and saying, oh shoot, okay, I'm not that good at that thing, so I'm really glad I married someone who is really good at that thing.
I remember as a kid, loving the traditions that we had. Most of them. Some of them I was like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Why are we doing this again? But once you go off on your own, like into college, you don't have those traditions with
miss
you all the
them.
time, and you go, wait a minute, something is missing here. There's a gap, and you go, that's what that was, and you realize how important those were to you, and you start to bring them on for yourself.
Yeah.
Or you don't want to have the exact same traditions necessarily.
No.
You want to create your own.
Yeah.
So your parents had traditions, you might have similar, but make it your own.
You take a few of those with you.
Right.
Sure.
Right.
But also, you find an opportunity to set up your own stuff for your family,
Yeah.
right? Like, I'm still a member of Greg and Beth's family, but I also
Sure.
now have my family. And on Christmas Eve, it's going to be Liv, Elsie, and Dad, period. Nobody else, full stop.
Yep.
That's just what it's going to be.
But then it's almost like new traditions are also forming at the same time with that extended family. Like
Sure.
you do stuff on the day before Christmas or the day after Christmas. And that tradition thing goes all the way into like our family vacations. I hated going on family vacation road trips as a kid. I then
Didn't learn that lesson, did you?
No, I then look back with only rose-tinted glasses that everything was
understand.
great.
Sure.
And my parents, my grandparents, they were all right. Oh, shoot, you are going to enjoy this one day. It took a while, but
That's funny.
that's what I say with my kids too, and that's the same tradition that I grew up with doing. It's what they now have, and hopefully at some point they enjoy it too.
Is there anything specific that you do in your household that you think somebody else doesn't do, or that is like specific to your house? Now I'm just fascinated by some of these things that she comes up with.
No, well, yeah. I mean, there's
I'm not gonna give you credit,
There's
dude.
all
It's
sorts
her.
of those things. No, one thing I was thinking about tonight, and this is something my daughter brought up. So we've always done. We read every night. We read every night. Again, they're 8 and 6, so they're like getting to this point where are they too old for this? We're gonna keep reading with them every night until they say no.
Yeah.
But we always alternate. There's only 2 of them, so I mean it's easy. One of us do bedtime with them one night and then the other, and it's we read a book, we read something with them, and then they go to sleep. And they're so used to this. As I was coming over here tonight, my son, he was like, "Well, how am I going to get to sleep if you're not here?" Well, he goes to sleep like that, and he's out like a log.
Sure.
But still. And my daughter the other day, she was like, "My other friends, their parents don't sit in with them to go to sleep, and they don't like read with them and do stuff. But I really like it." And it's like, "Oh shoot, okay,
Yeah.
I do.
Who
I do
cut
too.
the onion?
I do too, man. Well, sweetie, as long as you want us to be here, we're gonna be here.
Sure.
Like,
And even if you don't want us to be here, we're going to
Yeah.
be here.
Yeah, listen, we're going to be around whether
absolutely.
you like it or not.
but man, that's one of those things that I mean. On the flip side of where we started with all this, that's that side that makes you feel like, oh, I've done something right,
Yeah.
or my wife has done something right, and I've just like
And you just follow along.
attached
Yeah.
myself to like a barnacle.
That works too.
But how cool is that kind of thing is manifested, then your kids recognize it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, I remember very distinctly one of the first times I spent the night at one of our childhood friends' homes, and when he went to bed, his mom would come in and say, "All right, good night, kids," and then she would go over to his bedside table and turn on the audiobook.
And that was normal.
And I was laying in the floor, like in the little cot next to his bed, listening to the middle of an audiobook, and it put him immediately to sleep because it was what he dealt with every single night. I had never experienced that. Didn't sleep a wink.
Why is this
because
person
I'm-
talking?
Because I'm listening to a story I don't know anything about because I'm in the middle of it.
It was
so-
Pet Cemetery. So I mean that was what really kept you up.
And that
It
was
just
it was- and yeah, God, it puts the lotion on its skin. So I want to see what else. Like, oh, you said something in here about figuring out a full size mirror.
Oh, that was oh my gosh. I was trying to think of funny stories, and
Make
honestly,
sure that stays in close. There you go.
honestly, honestly, so it's been so many years on some of the really funny stories that the funniest stories are the ones we have videos of.
Oh,
And it's like Facebook will pop it back up, or Google whatever will pop it back up, and you're like, oh, I don't even remember that. My brain has completely forgotten this great memory that I once had. So anyway, we were shopping in a furniture store. I don't remember which one, but they had full size mirrors on an entire wall. So it was like 100-foot long mirrors.
Sweet.
And we were looking at stuff, and Kinsley, she was, I don't know, 3 or so, and she was just kind of, maybe 2, toddling around, and got to the full-size mirror and like touched it, and then much like a dog, didn't realize that wasn't another baby on the other side.
Oh, yes.
And she's like touching it, and she like runs her head into it, and it's just like, and she like for a full minute she's trying to figure this out. Like, she's a smart kid, but also like, come on, it's
First
a
time you
mirror.
experience a
Is this
thing.
magic?
Yeah.
So anyway, it's a simple thing, but oh my gosh,
Yeah.
it's like,
Also, this is kind of a spin-off of that, but
Please.
the video thing. Courtney and I have talked about this. So when we were growing up, that was the era where you had the giant handheld camcorder,
Yep.
and you had the
Oh,
tape
yeah.
that went in. So my mom has hours and hours and hours and hours of tapes
Mine too.
Yep.
of just random things. Not anything special. I mean, some
Yeah.
of them are special. It's like a recital or a basketball game or like Christmas morning. But it's also just like, oh, I'm just going to turn this on and just kind of look around. And that's so special to me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now we have like 30,000 videos that are like 20 seconds long. And it's just crazy how that's changed. And I don't know if that's good or bad, but it's going to be so different because we're not going to have like hours of footage.
No.
It's just going to be random little clips.
Little clippets.
Yeah.
Yeah. Little
But-
snippets.
And they're so special. Still.
memory is so fleeting. Like,
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
it just it hasn't even been a decade. We haven't had our kids for that long. Like,
Yeah.
and I've forgotten so many good memories that I thought I was like, oh, okay, snapshot. I'm gonna remember this forever. And then I'm like, what was that again?
Yeah, and then you started working on a project.
and
for
it's
work,
gone.
yeah.
How often do you sit in bed like at night, kind of scrolling through? Oh, like this,
Dude, it gets-
on this
it-
day 5 years ago, and you just, oh god,
It gets real.
so
It gets
good.
really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it gets really bad like that. And
I hear you.
I try and just swipe those away because if I'm not in a mood to just be like sad and mopey,
Sure.
which is most days for you.
yeah, it
I mean,
is.
that's
It
just-
is. I'm a
that's
sad
who Layne
mopey
is.
person.
I'm actually surprised we haven't been sniping back and forth at each other as much.
To be clear, when I asked you to
This
do
was a
this,
bad
I
idea.
forgot he was the guy who was going to be here.
No, you
and so I was
didn't.
like, oh my God, these two are just going to be peppering each other for an hour.
Well, you know what? I'll be honest. We do. That's what we do. But
Yeah.
this has been fun. This is awesome.
It
because
hasn't.
We've gotten to see it has not for you.
There it
For
goes.
me,
There it
yeah.
is. There
Good.
it is.
I'm
You've
glad
had
it
some
has.
really good
I mean,
insights.
I am very enjoyable to be around, so
You
that
are.
makes sense.
I will say that today.
Okay.
Well, yes, you guys are both very enjoyable, yada yada. But I also,
you.
you know, there is the way I look at it, trying to find that balance between living in the moment and also living behind my phone, right? Because
hard.
I want to have the 5-minute long video of Elsie just like running around the living room, but I also don't then want her to see me doing
Yeah.
this right here
and it can't be
Yeah.
for
both.
5 minutes. Like,
It can't
and
be
you
both.
Can't do it. You just
You
can't.
either get that memory long term in your phone that you can look back at,
Sure.
or yeah,
You're not,
It's-
and you're
it's-
not going to get them all.
No.
I mean,
Yeah.
you just have to know that. But yeah, and you're right. If it's one way, you're missing out on really good footage, and if it's the other way, your kids are seeing your face behind a screen. They're seeing the screen.
Yeah.
They're not
Yeah.
seeing you as a parent.
Yep.
And there have been
Find the happy medium.
right. There have been moments where our kids are just like, they do something funny. They go, "Hey, take a picture," and and it's like, "Oh God, we're not doing a picture for everything."
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
why not? That's what you usually do. It's like, oh God, okay,
Well, and
we need to draw that back.
some people are so good about remembering to take pictures at things. My wife and I are
Yeah.
not those people.
Yeah.
Like, we will go to a wedding or we will go to an event for some fundraiser or another, and we will get to the end of the night and we will go pick up Elsie from my parents or from Dawn and Bev, her parents, and they'll go, "Oh, show us some pictures. What did you guys do?" And Liv and I will look at each other and go, "Oh,
I don't know.
shit, we just."
It was
enjoyed the moment. We didn't take pictures, and so I am kind of.
But you shouldn't
that
feel
doesn't
bad
exist.
about that.
No, I know, but it's still just like
That's just the era.
Find that
we
happy
live in,
medium.
Yeah.
I guess also realize that saving those memories are a you thing. Like, how often have you gone back to all those videos your parents have taken and like watched all of them? You're not.
Not as often as you would your own stuff.
All the stuff that your parents saved from you from like elementary school. Are you going back and looking at all that? Have you ever?
your report cards from middle school.
This just happened last year. My mom finally was cleaning out the basement.
Oh,
and
Exactly.
and she gave my siblings and I all of the boxes. I think I had 8
You got the
full
tubs.
boxes, full tubs, 8 tubs.
You guys want to go in that
Yeah,
room back
is
there?
it right there?
Yeah.
So and she dropped them off, and Courtney was like, "You're not keeping these," and I was like, "No, I'm not." but in my mind, I'm kind of a little bit of a hoarder too, like with sentimental things. But I went through it, and I said, "That's really cool." I was like, "Why did she keep this?" I think we ended up keeping
she couldn't throw it away.
Half a box.
Yeah.
You're right. So I think we've talked about some good topics to this point. I think we've gotten too serious, and I want to hear some dad jokes.
Yes.
Okay, that's
too serious.
Dad's over the week.
Thank you. Love that. So
I knew you'd hate that. So
where do you want to start? You want to?
You know what? Let's make the guest go first.
I agree.
And that means Layne.
That's cool.
Layne
I
is our
have
guest.
a really good one. I couldn't think up anything, so earlier I asked my daughter what dad joke I should bring, and she's like, "I have a really good one."
I love the confidence. That makes me very happy.
My delivery is going to be awful because I can't remember the joke exactly.
Uh-oh.
Oh gosh, I'm going to have to cut on this because it's the stupid 789 joke.
Oh. Why is 6 afraid of 7?
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
You'll
all
set
right.
it up again.
3,
Yeah. All right.
2,
We'll set it up again.
3, 2. You're like a magician. You can just cut all this shit together, right?
That's why I love having the power of the edit. It's so easy.
And we went back in time, and there was never a cut here.
All right, I'm gonna start.
So
again.
my daughter,
Wait, I gotta start again.
No.
I
We're
gotta-
just
okay,
we're
just
just
let
gonna
him know.
have
I'll
a
fix it in a
terrible
minute. Yeah.
cut in between, and it's just gonna look like.
All right, good.
She said, "I have this really great joke, Dad. Why is 6 afraid of 7?" I still can't say it because 7, 8, 9. And I was like, "Oh, that's so good. Yeah, that's gonna go over really well."
Oh,
That was your dad joke.
That was
Why
it.
is
I'm
6
super sarcastic with my children, just like I am with the rest of people.
In like second grade. I think when Bryant came.
She's in second grade. That's what she said.
That's perfect timing. Way to go. You figured it out. Hey, you know what? Not all of them can be winners. Speaking of losers,
you're calling
Andy,
my
why don't
daughter
you
not
go
a winner.
next? No, I was talking about your joke. Your daughter's a sweetheart.
It was my daughter's joke.
No. Actually, it was interesting. I was reading something the other day that Hawaii, the legislature in Hawaii, was actually looking to pass a law that makes it illegal to laugh too loudly. You're actually, if that passed, you're only allowed aloha. So, something to keep in mind if you go to Hawaii.
That's pretty solid.
I think mine was better.
I told that to my wife the other day, and she was like, "That wasn't funny." And I told it to her again today. I was like, "I think I'm going to use this on the podcast." And I said it again, and she goes, "I just got that." Just busted out laughing. And I was like, "That was like 3 weeks ago." So I at least got the validation from my wife. She was probably lying, but
funny.
I'm going to go with it.
So, my grandmother lives in a nursing home, but it's a pretty good sized nursing home, and so she has the ability to walk around them. So when she turned 70, she started walking 5 miles a day, and so we were really excited about that for her. That's a big deal. She started walking 5 miles a day, and now she's 90, and we have no idea where she is.
Your grandmother is a nice lady. Don't do that to her.
I was just laughing
I'm
before
glad
the
that you knew that was
punchline.
where that was going.
The setup. Everybody's trying to be serious about the setup. We know it's going to be a terrible joke.
Like that was
so
such
good.
a thing early in the podcast. Derek and I finally had to talk about it because we were trying to make our jokes into too much of a story, and Chaney was telling a 5-minute lead up to a 3-second punchline. It's like, Chaney, oh my god, you got to stop! It's getting
Too much
way
tape.
too long.
Too much tape.
Too much
So
tape.
my favorite thing to do when you tell a dad joke, this is just kind of a dad joke tip, is just to over-explain it.
And then also overlap.
That's exactly. So like, aloha, and it's like, get it? Because it's a low ha, and aloha in Hawaii means hello or goodbye.
Thanks, Andy.
And then you
That's a
laugh
big
about it
help.
and say,
That's a big
okay,
help.
and people hate it, and people really dislike it.
I don't
especially my
follow. I don't
wife.
follow. Can you give a dissertation
that's
on
all I
that?
can do.
No more explanation. We're done. That's enough. That's enough out of both of you. I cannot believe I allowed this to happen.
Well,
Fellas,
This was your choice, by the way.
I know I did this to myself. I hope, I hope you guys had fun. This was a blast for me. I'm so glad we got to do this. I'm so glad we got to have you on, and I'm so glad we finally got to have Layne on and kind of hear your stories. Thank you for sharing yours. I think the only real couple of things left are to say, don't forget to do all the social media stuff, like, share, subscribe, do all the likes and clicks and hit the bells and all those things. That really helps us out. And also, if you have dad hacks, if you have dad jokes, please put them in the comments or in DMs so we can heartlessly steal them. I don't want to have to keep coming up with my own jokes. Thanks.
They have to be better than what we're just told.
They have to be better than what we just said.
So please help us.
So I think the only thing left would be to say, one, way to go, decent dad.
Hey,
I'll give you one. Just decent.
And does anybody else have anything else? Anything they want to plug? Anything they want to talk about before we get out of here?
I want to say real quickly.
Please.
So yeah, that was one thing we talked about, was the fact that I was coming on as a guest host this week. And when I found out Layne was the guest, I was like, this is going to be a really, really bad episode. Because we're just going to be going back and forth. We are the most sarcastic people I know.
Yep.
And our relationship is built on sarcasm.
We have no relationship.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
But I will say, a lot of the things you said were incredibly deep and thoughtful, and I really enjoyed talking about it.
Yeah,
so
that was awesome.
You're a great dad, and I appreciate
Well
what
done.
you did. Yeah.
I don't like when people give me compliments.
Well,
you're
going to have to accept
I
it.
don't do well with that. I don't believe you.
Especially from me.
Especially from you.
What's the motive?
I don't believe you. I'm not going to accept it.
What's the motive
I'm just going to leave you guys figure this out.
No, but you did a great job.
Thank you.
way to go,
I
buddy.
appreciate it, Andy.
Nice work,
thanks.
fellas, both of you. So I think, unless anybody else has anything else, we will wrap this thing up here and say, we'll see you next time. That's the blooper.
We never landed on the moon. It was all staged.
See, this is why I like doing this shit, because it's I don't have the local pub. I have my basement, a video camera, and some creepy lights.
You have to appreciate the classic pub though, because this is exactly what it was.
100%.